Going live right now.
Sad that we have to endure such atrocities such as the Final Fantasy 15 with Are you kidding me?
Well, Final Fantasy 15 doesn't even feel like a Final Fantasy game. So, that's neither here nor there. But we're live right now, and I'm joined by the usual triumvirate of uh, of, uh, of people. So here we go. Ladies first, then the gentleman, then myself, and then we'll dive right into a general introduction of what we'll be covering for tonight. So, ladies first.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all Ghostbusters Midweek Podcast. I'm Joy Moonstar, and we're about to go into some this round.
Yeah. uh, Next, Kadoshi.
This is Kanashi Abominito saying, how would you, how would you like me to sell you 3/4 of a pizza for full price, and then sell you the next 3/4 of the pizza for the same price as I sold you the previous 3/4, until you end up with a full pizza, paying
Yeah,
triple the price of
but
triple the
but
price
but
of
you
the.
put extra toppings on the you put extra toppings on that quarter though. You know, like really. I mean, it was pepperoni and sausage, but you put broccoli and peppers and buffalo sauce on it. Like a lot, like five extra toppings on it. So you know, it's worth the extra. It's worth $20 for those two slices of pizza because you put extra toppings on it.
Yeah, right.
If you can't tell that we're being facetious, I can't help you. If you can't tell we're being facetious, and of course it's me, Mr. Red Fox, owner and proprietor of BS Buster. So let's get into it. So basically, we have five topics we're going over, and we should blaze through all of them relatively simply and easily. So the first topic is the dankest games we've ever played. So basically, we're going to talk about games that people had to be high to make that we played or games that we played that made us feel like we were high while playing them. So anyone
Ooh boy.
wanna dive into there first? A game that made you feel like you were high playing it.
I got two, but one of them is making me wonder if I should even mention it.
No, you can go ahead. Yeah, we can blaze through
Katamari and
all of them
Damashi. I think
relatively
that
simply.
that's a pretty
That's the
obvious
first
one.
one.
Yeah.
The That's the meme game. Oh God, makes me wonder who's the who the heck was making this stuff and what? Because that's some because that probably was some illegal
What game is this?
Katamari Damashi.
I mean, she said her second game,
Oh, second game.
the meme game.
the meme
Oh, the
game.
meme game.
Oh,
Oh yeah, that
You
was
mean
a
that weird game that was like a platformer, but it was kind of stupid?
yeah. It came out on
Yes,
the Wii U, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes. I tried it. I tried it because somebody was saying that this thing was just what the, and they weren't and they weren't wrong. It made me wonder, what the f were they
Captain.
on?
I never played this game, but Captain Rainbow. That look odd. That look odd.
I've played Captain Rainbow. It's not that bad. It's really not that bad.
Psychonauts. I mean, that was actually a good game, but you
Yeah,
know,
Psychonauts is definitely a game. I mean, not the beginning of the game. The first few mines you go into aren't really that messed up. But once you get to Linda the Lungfish and
the
Roberto,
Milkman
sorry,
conspiracy.
Eduardo and the Milkman,
The
who's like,
Milkman conspiracy. Yeah,
yeah, the Milkman.
that's the best
That
part.
poor bastard really is crazy.
Yeah,
Like
that was probably one of the best parts of the game. Yeah.
they did him a favor going in his mind, locking him up so that he could at least be somewhat functional. But yeah, Linda the Lungfish, where you get to see how she views humans as giant monsters because before she was mutated by Dr. Lobato um, and Coach Oleander, she was just like a normal lungfish. By the way, this is not a paid endorsement, but Psychonauts a really great platformer, especially the boss fights. Like when you're in Linda the Lungfish's mind, you have to fight Coach Oleander.
Yeah.
And it's like a kaiju boss battle. So he's like, so all of his attacks are telegraphed, but he does it like kaiju tokusatsu style. So he's like overly complicated special attack.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's like if like here's the thing. The reason people who like Psychonauts is because you have to be of a certain age and have known a certain thing, and you totally get the in jokes.
Yeah.
Ford Cruller telling people, "Hey, are you gonna teach me? Are you gonna teach me how to make people's heads explode to make people's brains explode out of their heads?" He's like, "No, kid, but I could." Ford Cruller. Yeah. But yeah, Psychonauts definitely. There's levels in that game that's like clearly the people who made this level had to be high. Like when you
Yeah.
They
go,
were on something other than air.
yeah, like Eduardo's level or Roberto, the guy who basically like he has an inferiority complex because he wasn't like he was an artist and not an athlete. It's kind of weird. And then there's Celeste, the singer,
Yeah.
Paul Bonaparte, who's a or is that his name Paul Bonaparte? Anyway, he's like an ancestor. He's a descendant of Napoleon Bonaparte. Fred Bonaparte. That's his name. Fred Bonaparte. And then there's the real crazy motherfucker in the thing, which is the Milkman. Like I don't even know his real name. I think his name it's like his real name's like the most milk toast boring ass name. But he's this dude really is fucking crazy. Like it's like, dude, like there's people in that insane asylum. So like, okay, like Eduardo, okay, he just had an inferiority complex. Celeste, she was her own harshest critic. She listened to her inner doubt too much.
Yeah.
Fred Bonaparte, he's just like he has he's crushed under the sense of uh, of of his familial legacy, living up to his family legacy. But the Milkman, that motherfucker was crazy, like just straight up insane.
Bonkers.
Yeah, like basically he was an arsonist who thought that everyone was out to get him, and Lobato and Coach Oleander went to his mind and turned him into like a drone, which made him somewhat functional. I mean, he was still doing dirty shit, but he at least wasn't burning down stuff. But once you quote unquote free his mind, oh god, he blows up the insane asylum. He's insane. I'm like, I hope those people who I saved got out. What?
Somebody put him back, please.
Yeah. His level is especially insane because there's like Girl Scouts and government agents and conspiracy bots and like it's weird. It is. I mean, it is like, god damn, dude. This is.
It's like being in the mind of a
Somebody's
schizophrenic.
not on.
Yeah, it's like being in the mind of a crazy person.
Yeah.
Like there's no order. It's just completely fucked up. So
I think we gotta mention Kingdom Hearts because
yeah, that whole game had to be done. That story had to be done by someone who was snorting some lines.
yeah, 'cause that makes no sense. Like that story makes absolutely no sense.
Well, I mean, it was either done by someone who, like Kingdom Hearts story reads as if someone was doing a lot of drugs and thought they were being clever, or someone who was in the 6th grade and writing a fan fiction. Like they read Harry Potter and they wanted to do a fantasy story, but they were obsessed with Disney and with with Disney IPs like OG or Disney IPs and Final Fantasy. And they basically just inserted Final Fantasy characters into their fanfic, but they had the writing skills of someone who's in 6th grade. And I don't mean a good good writing skills. I mean shit writing skills, and that's what it feels like. The story, it's trash. It's
Yeah, it's
absolute
an
trash.
absolute mess. It's an absolute mess.
You know, I would say that between the story of Kingdom Hearts and the story of Metal Gear Solid, both of those game series have absolutely convoluted bullshit as stories, and I stand by that. I don't care what anyone says.
Makes me wonder how the heck are these people who on major games again?
um,
Definitely are not on air for that stuff.
well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, I mean, you guys said yours. I'll say mine. The game that made me feel like I was high, well, the game that made me feel like these people were clearly high when they made this game. I'm gonna steal yours, Jewel. Katamari Damacy, because that game is just so weird. It's so
Yeah.
off out of left field that, like, if someone told me, hey, that guy was high as fuck when he made that game, I'd be like, yeah, I believe it. Um, the other the game that made me feel high while I was playing it. Believe it or not, I know this is going to be kind of not fun, but I'm going to say it right now. The original Super Mario Brothers.
You think some when the Marios were getting
I
strewn?
mean, think about it. Like, okay, you're running around, you're fighting giant mushroom creatures. You're hitting blocks with your hand, and coins and shit are popping out of them. There's giant mushrooms that you can get. You can get a flower that lets you shoot fireballs at people. There's enemies that live in clouds that throw their babies out of the clouds that turn into these spiky things that attack you. I mean, really, the Mario universe. If you try to apply logic to like the original Super Mario Brothers, it's some fucked up shit. Like it makes like it's like wow, this must be how it feels to take LSD. But you don't have to take LSD. You can just play Super Mario Brothers, and it feels like you know you get the benefit of taking drugs without actually having to take drugs. So that's nice. And honorable mention Tulip. This was a game that came out in the sixth gen for the PS2 and the GameCube. And it's this game where you play this kid who comes to this town and you have to collect these hearts. And how do you get hearts? By kissing people. Because tulip in Japanese is a onopoetic way of saying kiss. So the whole game is you just kissing people, kissing women, kissing dudes, kissing skeletons, kissing dogs, kissing monsters. It's just like these people were high when they came up with this, or either that or
Ow.
incredibly horny,
Um,
or maybe both.
both. I said hopefully not both because you how much of a weird boner they have.
I don't know, but it's just one of those games where you're like, God damn, that's fucked up, man. Okay then, so um, I think we've exhausted that topic. Let's go to the next one. Topic two: what games are you looking forward to playing this summer that weren't canceled or pushed back?
Me, I got a trio.
All right.
Um, Ninjala, since I'm how that plays. Bravely Default 2, RPG fan, and Samurai Jack.
Samurai Jack. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Samurai Jack. I really
What
am.
about you, Red?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm gonna reserve judgment until it comes out, but I'm looking forward to it. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, but if anything, it's showing promise to me at least.
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm reserving
Yeah,
judgment. I don't know. Look, I don't know if it's gonna be good, but I
yeah, I
reserve
agree.
judgment.
Yeah. What about you, Red? Kenoshi?
I'll let Kenoshi go.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Bravely Default. No, Xenoblade Chronicles, Bravely Default 2. Um, let's see, Secret Trials of Mana comes out. I think that it's either out or it comes out in a couple days. And then, not sure what else. Not sure what else is coming out after that.
All right, I guess it's my turn. Um, well, I know this is gonna sound kind of cliche. I know this is gonna sound kind of bad because I said, man, I hate the humble. I hate the humble, the Epic
Humble
Store.
Bundle?
Well, I hate the Epic Store, but I might get this game just so that I can play it with better graphics. It comes out next month, and I'm talking about Saints Row, uh, the remaster, Saints Row the Third remastered. Um, because you get all the DLC, you get all the character customization, you get um, everything with a better engine, so it looks better. And it's only $39.99, so I'm like, I might take that plunge. Because Saints Row 3 is still kind of it's it's still a bit more grounded than Saints Row 4. For lack of a better term. So like I like the fact that it's more grounded. See what else. That's it. Let's see what else. I am looking forward to Bravely Default. Well, I'm cautiously optimistic about Bravely Default 2. Um, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, cause the thing is like I want it to be good, but SquareSoft hasn't really released a game that I've really been like like the last game that they released that I really enjoyed was Octopath Traveler. And from what I heard, the developers of this game are taking things they learned from Octopath Traveler and putting it into this game. So it might be better, but you know, I don't know. Um, I would say Cyberpunk 2077, but
Yeah, they got pushed back.
it got pushed back to September, or is it November or October? So that's going to be a fall game, not a. You know, I'm really looking. I'm really looking forward to that game. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's me. Um, so, uh, I mean, there's nothing else I'm really looking forward to this summer. I mean, like I'm open to anything, but I'm not like, oh my god, this game has to come out. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get what you're
Um,
saying. For me, it's mostly about curiosity and it turns out good.
eh, like at this point, like the days of me being ultra hyped up about games. I can't really like. I got kind of burned with Breath of the Wild, so I'm a little like I'm much more cautious these days about getting hyped up about games. Um, like I'm very optimistic. I'm very cynical about getting hyped up about games these days. I'm just like, I can't really. It could be good, but probably not. Um, but that's just me. um,
Yeah.
but to keep it moving, keep it moving. Anyone have any other games they're looking forward to this summer that weren't canceled or pushed back? Doesn't have to be AAA. It could be single A, triple A.
For me, I basically said my share basically of what I wanted.
All right. I
So
guess
if maybe
we can keep it
that's
moving.
safe.
Um, Topic three: what game or game series that has a passionate fan base that you've never liked or and why? So I don't mean the fan base. I mean the game that like people love this game. You're like I hate I don't. Matter of fact, I hate that game.
Oh boy, I'm gonna get roasted for this one. Dark Souls.
All right.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I think I think the Dark Souls games and the Dark Souls like games are way overrated.
Yeah,
And
I mean seriously, you guys are being lovingly passionate bad controls. That is a sin.
broken controls.
And I
Well, I mean, it's not even
and
the
I
controls that are really that bad. It's the game design. The game design is so um
uh,
Oh yeah, it's a game of peekaboo.
yeah, like games are sitting there like enemies just pop up on you. It's not like the game isn't hard because um of enemies have high health or anything like that. I mean, the enemies do have a lot of health and they hit hard, but you've got characters just popping up on you trying to kill you. It's designed to be cheap. You know,
Yeah.
like I like my difficulty to be, um, like if you're gonna be difficult because my skills aren't good
you
enough,
made
not
it a
because you're
challenge.
being a cheap bastard. You know.
Yes.
But that's just me. Um, anyone else?
I was about to say you've yet to go. If anything, I'm likely
That's right.
getting roasted.
That's right. I haven't. I haven't. Okay. I know this is gonna sound kind of bad. I don't like. This isn't really a franchise, but it's a gameplay gimmick that I'm tired of. VR. Like I'm tired of games coming out and they're like, oh, that game sounds interesting. They're like, oh, but it's VR only. I'm like, come on, man.
Oh, VR cheap.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, okay, look, I have played VR games that are good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna be like I hate it just because it's VR. But what I will say is that the best VR, like people were like, man, you need to play this game because it's in VR. Why? Because it's in VR? I mean, like, and here's the thing: if you're gonna do something that's VR, just saying, if you're gonna do VR, like the way VR is right now, if you want to have the best VR, you're gonna have to like you're gonna have to spend a lot of money on it. And I mean, if you're gonna have something that you're gonna be playing for long periods of time on your face, why would you want the cheap or moderately expensive version? You want the best because so that you can experience the best, and it's not going to be as uncomfortable. And it's just like people now, like developers are making games and like, oh, this is for VR, and it's like, the VR is trash. You know, it's like they just add VR just so that they can be like, hey man, guess what?
We're we're popular.
Yeah, VR is hot right now. Now, I mean, and it's not so bad right now because you're starting to see VR games come out that have a higher quality. But when Oculus Rift and PlayStation VR were really like, yeah, man, VR, and then like every game developer, yeah, we're making this game in VR. Why? Why?
Really?
Yeah, why? Like I know it's hot right now. It's I mean it basically felt kind of like remember when the Wii was a hit, so everyone wanted
Everybody
to
was
put
trying
motion
to.
controls and shit. It's basically what it
Yeah.
felt like. I don't like it, not one bit. Um, you know, and I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, you just hating. No, I'm not hating. You know, I mean, if VR reached the point where it wasn't obtrusive and it was great, I'd be the first person to say, yes, do it all the time. But it isn't. It's like kind of like, eh. So that's just me, you know. To each his own.
Yeah.
Um, but hey, you know,
Minds think different.
yeah. Everyone has their everyone has their own proclivities when it comes to stuff like that. So, you know, everyone has things that they're like, man, I don't get why people love that shit so much. Like I said, me personally, I'm kind of like one of those people. I really don't like. I don't like when people jump into gimmicks just because they're popular, not because they actually have something substantial to add to it. You know what I mean? Because then it comes across as lazy and lackadaisical and
I
half-assed. So
consider it more hype train riders.
yeah. I mean that's basically a more succinct way of putting what I was saying, which is lazy and half-assed. Um, but that being said, let's keep it moving to our next topic, which is um, this is a big one. Well, do you think that we'll ever see another major console entry that isn't from Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft? And I need to add an addendum to that. What would it take? If not, what would it take for there to be another console from someone who isn't one of those three companies?
Hmm. I got an idea, but I'm not sure if either you for it.
No, you can dive into it. Go ahead.
Okay. The idea that that is outside of the big trio that's going to make a new that's as likely as as high as an action figure. And if that is even possible, I'd say they have they need a lot of backing from not only those, as in they have to make their own games in a sense, but they probably going to need a good number of third-party games to go with it.
So who is it?
For who would be able to pull that off?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. This was the part that I was a little iffy about because per se, um, E it like from one of the big third parties like EA or Blizzard. Blizzard being my more likely but considering, but I'm not sure how likely that'll be considering how much of a pain they put themselves in. You get where I'm going at, right?
Um, I could see EA. The thing is, if EA made a console, if if
Blizzard.
if EA made a console, EA has enough IPs underneath their mantle that they could make a lot of first party games exclusive to them and people would play it. Like if the only way you could play Madden was on an EA console or FIFA was on an EA console, it would have huge console support right there. Because people love Madden, people love FIFA, even though I personally think those games are trash. But people love them, so
I'd honestly hurl at EA, but each their own.
yeah, you get what I'm saying. Um,
Yeah.
so like I said, I know people don't like EA. I don't like EA, but they have enough IPs underneath their belt. And I mean, like, okay, EA has fighting games, EA has racing games, EA has sports games, EA has platformers. They have double A, single A, uh, triple A games. They have RPGs. Like they have a big enough library just of shit that they have that kind of give you get what I'm saying? That they could pull it off. I mean,
Yeah.
they have no incentive to do it, but I'm just saying if anyone has
The resources.
the resource, if anyone has the roster to pull it off, it's them. I don't think they do it because that would take effort.
And when's the last time you seen effort in their camp?
Yeah. EA and effort don't go along together. What effort? Shit. Must be crazy.
They that you'll see from them is them trying to reach into your pocket.
Can you believe these people actually thought we were going to put effort into something? You're insane. Kenoshi?
The most effort you'll see out of them is them trying to reach your pocket.
Yeah.
What's the question?
The topic is: do you see? Do you think we'll ever see another major console entry that isn't from Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft? And if not, what would have to happen in order for it to happen?
I think eventually somebody will drop out, and then somebody will take their place. I guess what would have to happen is that for one, they would have to have their own games backing it, as well as the support of third party. And really, I think I could see somebody like possibly one you know they would have to have a lot of money for sure, or at least not be enough money that it wouldn't be too much of a risk to make a console. And for possibly maybe somebody like Asus making a console. I mean, they can have experience with at least they make a lot of gaming hardware.
Yeah.
The hardware, I don't know about the software though. So
Yeah.
they would have to team up with somebody software wise.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the thing
I don't
is,
know.
they'd have the hardware down, but the problem with them is that while they do have the hardware, you're right, they do have the hardware down. Um, is that they'd have to they'd have to deal with they would have to have some good shit in the software part of it, and like they'd have to get third party software support, and who the hell, like, who would take a chance on that? I mean, the big three, the big console develop the big third parties would, but the mid tier ones,
They be scared.
yeah,
Like you need a company, and not necessarily just I not of course I'm mainly thinking of gaming, but you would have to you would have to have a company that both creates compelling hardware and compelling software already
yeah,
to be able to put their foot forward and be like, okay, yeah, we'll make a console. They like, for example, they already have experience at making, maybe not like a ton of experience with games, but they have experience when it comes to creating compelling software and creating compelling hardware. So of course they would have to. There would be a lot that they would have to learn, but they know what kind of people to hire to make compelling hardware and software.
all right,
So
okay,
basically that's what it would take, because they would need to support their own hardware to make other companies be like, okay, yeah, these guys are worth investing in, because they're behind their hardware all the way. So
all right, okay, I got it. I guess it's my turn.
You're, you're up, Red.
I agree with Kenoshi. I think one of the big three would have to just completely say we're done. That's the only way that you could really break into the market. Because I mean, that's how Sony was able to get in. It was because I mean, that's how Sony was able to get in, was because basically Sega was fucking up, and they were able to edge in, right? Because I mean, people are like, well, we can only have three consoles supported, but people forget in the mid '90s there were like 10 consoles on the market. 10.
Um, hey, don't you mean Microsoft since they took the place of Sega?
No, no, no. Because like here's the thing, okay? Let's count it out, okay? Um, at the end of during the fourth gen, Sega, when the fourth gen began, Sega was kicking ass. Then midway through the fourth gen, Sega started fucking up because they started doing add-ons and making new SKUs of like consoles that had different development. So putting out new consoles in the fourth gen. They put out the Sega CD and the 32X. Okay. Then Sony
Yeah,
came
I was
out with the
thinking.
PlayStation 1. But you also had the TurboGrafx 16. Um, you also, at the same time, you had that system out. You had the TurboGrafx CD. That's another one. That's 5 consoles out. Then you had the
Okay,
Sega
I was just
Jaguar. That's 6. Then Sega came out with the Saturn to compete with the PlayStation. Okay, that's 7.
uh-huh.
Okay, then you had let's see what else. I forgot the Sega Genesis. Okay, that's 8. Nintendo. People forget Nintendo supported the Super Nintendo uh, like a year and a half, like 18 months, 2 years into the PS1's life cycle. So that's
Mhm.
9. And then they came out with the N64, so that's 10. You had 10 consoles out in the 90s. 10! 10 consoles from
yeah,
different
and
people.
consoles
Most of them
now,
were.
and
I was about to
consoles
say
now.
most of them were from Sega, wasn't they?
Well, I mean, they're add-ons, but I'm treating the add-ons as consoles because you couldn't, like, you had some games for the Sega CD and the 32X that basically were kind of like extensions of a Genesis game, but a lot of them were completely different, like something different. So you had 10 consoles out, and I mean, basically they crashed the market.
Yeah, that's the thing. A console now can cost anywhere from $300 to $500 now. So
And I didn't even
you know,
include the 3DO.
could you could you imagine 10 consoles costing upwards to $300 and $500 in the market?
Oh,
Something would have to give.
the new consoles now, like the PS, the Xbox One. If you get an Xbox One S used now, you can get a used one, a lightly used one, or even a refurbished one for like $150 now. You
Yeah.
can get a PS. You can get a PS4 right now for like 250. New 250. You can get a Pro for like 275, 269. If you know where to look, you can get one way cheaper than what Sony is selling them for. And that's what we're dealing with here, folks.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I mean, I think if you wanted to create a new console, if you wanted to have a new console enter the market, one of the other console manufacturers would have to drop out. Like the reason Microsoft was able to get a toehold into the industry was because Sega just said, "Fuck it, we're done. We've shot ourselves in the ass too much." You know.
Mhm.
It's like, hey man, I shot myself in the ass. How's it going? That's basically
Well,
what happened.
I'm just saying, having 10 consoles out that are upwards to $300 and $500,
And don't forget,
it's just not feasible.
and don't forget, that's not adjusting for inflation, because really, if you adjust for inflation, those consoles were even more expensive than that back in the day.
Which should scare somebody at times.
You know. So
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like here's the thing. I'm not mad about like I do think there needs to be better competition in the there needs to be better competition in the
In the market of consoles.
yeah. There needs to be better competition. But on the other end of the spectrum, while there does need to be better competition in the while there does need to be better competition, um, because I mean, to be fair, look, listen, Nintendo's been doing their own thing for years. Like for years, they've been doing their own thing, and Microsoft has basically every single console gen. Microsoft, I don't care what anyone tells you. They're like, well, Microsoft, people really love the Xbox 360. Look, listen, just because you sell a lot of something, if you're not turning a profit on it, it's not successful. Okay. The Xbox 360 was very popular during the seventh gen, but Microsoft didn't make any money on it. So, or I mean, if they did make money, it was not worth what they were spending to support it. All right.
Mhm.
So stop with that shit that it was popular, therefore it was successful. Popularity does not equal success. Popularity just means people like talking about that shit.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if you know
Yeah, and
if anybody else. It'd
while
be
you say it,
interesting.
sorry. Go ahead.
It'd be interesting to see if somebody got into somebody else got into the console race. I just kind of curious how they would handle it.
I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. I would love to see. I would love to see. I mean, like I said, I would love to see another console maker enter into the market. And I
Yeah,
know
that'd be
some
pretty
people are gonna
cool.
get mad and be like, "How dare you, sir?" No, I would love to see another console maker into the market. Will they do it? Probably not.
Yeah, it's too much of a gamble. Like you're talking about $1 billion investment. Not to mention you have to go through cycles too. So you gotta phase out one console after a certain amount of years, and then do start all over again.
Yeah,
It's pretty scary.
yeah, yeah. Every few years, stuff just stuff gets taken off.
Yeah. So what's the next topic, I presume?
Final topic. Our final topic is what game or game series do you wish were/was brought back with a total revamp, like Seiken Densetsu 3, aka Trials of Mana, or I hate to add this, Final Fantasy 7,
Uh,
like a total rebrand, like a total revamp. Like it's the essence of what the game
you
used to be is there, but it's very different. It's like it's updated for a new age.
A new 3D Rayman game. That'd be nice.
For me, I'd actually want to see something to spice up the Dynasty Warriors like formula.
I'd be cool with that.
How about you, Red?
Um, how can I put this nicely? I would like to see a new um well, I mean, all the stuff I like, they already pretty much have. They're already supposedly revamping. So, I would like to see a new. I would like to see a new Paper Mario game. But no, no, I take that back. I would like to see the Super Mario RPG series brought back.
Yeah, I would like to see that too. That'd be pretty good.
I could agree on that. Besides, if anything, the the RPG of Mario shouldn't be lost to time. If anything,
Yeah, bring that shit back. But that's just me. Um, I know some people are gonna get mad when they hear that because people get mad all the time when they hear shit like that. But that's my own personal So, with that being said, now we can move on to free topic. Kanoshi has a topic he's been wanting to
Oh yeah. So
break his foot off into the rear end of. So go ahead, sir.
yeah, I'm just not gonna let this go because it's so baffling how many people I've come across that are like, yeah, this game is great. They're like in like full support about it. People like Jim Sterling who usually rants about these sort of things. It's like, yeah, this game's all right. It's pretty good. It's like, all right, so I discovered the ending to this beloved remake, and I was like, yeah, this is full of some nonsense. So apparently, what happens is that basically what happens is that Sephiroth knows what happens in the other timeline, meaning the PlayStation version of the game, and wants to make sure that doesn't happen again. And apparently, these these fates, the I don't know their technical name, but they're essentially the fates of this world. They control the tapestry of fate, or whatever it's called in Greek mythology, the strings of fate. And apparently they you have to fight them, and then they gather together, and then once you fight them, the uh, the destiny that was supposed to occur doesn't happen. So now Zack from Final Fantasy Crisis Core doesn't die. So that means Aerith is probably not going to die.
Which means Cloud
Maybe
Strife
certain other
doesn't
people.
exist because Cloud Strife is literally just a. He's one of the failed Genova clones that got the memories of Zack Fair.
Yeah. So Zack Fair is essentially a clone, or Cloud is a clone of Zack. Is that what you're telling me?
No, basically, here's the thing. Okay, as you know, Genova, the alien Genova crashed on the planet and was badly wounded. And
Yeah.
the Shinra Corp people found the body, and it died shortly thereafter. And they took the DNA from the corpse and they used it to make artificial beings, right? Um,
Okay.
well, at first they used the DNA to they injected it into people. So Vincent, the guy who has the morph ability, they
Yeah.
injected him with the shit. So that's how he has the morph ability because they injected him with it. Um, they made a series of clones. Those things you keep on fighting in the facility that are all fucked up and mutated. Those are
Yeah.
failed clones.
Um,
Cloud Strife is another one of them, but he was mindless. He had no will. Um, One of the more perfect clones, actually, that they could actually control for a time was Sephiroth. Um, when that shit jumps off, like that memory that you have is Cloud Strife, where he's like fighting his way and he fights against Sephiroth in Final
yeah.
Fantasy VII. That wasn't Cloud Strife, that was Zack. Because basically, Zack's grievously wounded in that fight, and he accidentally opens up one of those things that has Cloud in it, and Cloud basically absorbs his memories. So basically, technically speaking, Cloud Strife is not only kind of gay for Sephiroth, but because basically he's not gay. Like basically because they have the cells of Genova in them, the cells want to come back together. Like they want to form
Oh.
into a full being again, um, which is kind of gay. So they're
Oh,
also
so
kind of technically brothers, so it's kind of incestuous too.
so it's kind of like they tore apart the cells or the structure of one being and created separate beings, and those cells are kind of at war with each other, trying to come back together to recreate Genova.
Yeah, basically. That's basically what's going
That's
on.
great. That is
Look,
some
man, I
great.
never
That's some
said
great
Final.
nonsense.
I never said Final Fantasy had a great story because it doesn't. Okay, Final Fantasy VII, in my opinion, has one of the crappiest stories I've ever seen. But
But what you're explaining to me is essentially they completely and utterly broke Final Fantasy VII.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the original story. That's the original story is that Genova was created, and all this shit went down. That's the original story. The problem,
The problem?
the problem is that they're changing the story in order to make it more appealing to new people. And the way I feel about it is I don't really care about new. Like, here's the thing: if you're gonna
Well,
change
it
the
doesn't make any sense. Like,
if you're gonna
who
change the story that much, well, Eris doesn't die. Well, then what's Cloud's in? What's Cloud's? Because Eris getting killed is a major part of that game. You know?
Yeah. So the fact that they're trying to introduce new people into this game makes absolutely because how many people know who if you're new to the Final Fantasy franchise and I don't really know much about it. I know a little bit about it. But if you're new to it, then how the hell, you see this guy essentially not die, this Zach guy. Like how are you supposed to how's that going to make any sense to you? Unless you've
Well, I mean, if you've
unless
never
you've
played it, you're
played.
not going to know the significance of it. If you played Final Fantasy VII, like Jewel can tell you, because she likes Final Fantasy VII, like not having Zack Fair die kind of fucks up the whole point of Cloud's strife. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Eh, I'm trying to keep from raging here when thinking about
It's like
it.
if Eris doesn't die, Eris
If you
Eris
kill,
getting
you know,
murdered by Sephiroth
yes, if that
is
shit
what finally
happens,
gets
that
Cloud to finally say, okay, I'm gonna kill Sephiroth. Because up until that point, Cloud is basically all just like Tifa's like totally like, yeah, Cloud, you can fuck me if you want to. Like totally, look at these big old titties. Look at him, come on, come on. He's
yes,
like, I'm
he
not
has
interested.
at least two. I was about to say
I'm
he
not interested.
has. I was trying to say that he has at least two big reasons to keep fighting on, and he
Well,
goes with.
three, and two of them he's ignoring because he's gay.
Oh,
That's true.
I'm sorry. I just had to groan because that was so true.
All right, because like, I mean, he had like, okay. Here's the thing: he has no connection to Tifa. Tifa has a connection to him because um, she used to date Zack Fair. But like, even though he got Zack Fair's memories and drives to stop Sephiroth, like it's like it's not personal for him. It's like he's like, I'm gonna complete this mission, but
It's
he
like he's.
doesn't have any idea about.
Mhm.
And in the game,
Yeah,
they
as I
try to
said,
give Cloud Strife this huge a
personality.
personality and a memory. It's like that kind of destroys the whole point because the whole point about Cloud is that he's a character who is gaining
His personality.
he gains his personality over the course of the game. That's the entire point. Is that he's just he's a failed experiment, right? Like
Yeah.
here's the thing: Cloud could have easily become like Sephiroth and become this maniacal evil creature trying to kill everything, but he didn't because he did have friends and people who treated him well. Whereas Sephiroth was just turned into a killing machine sent out to take care to do missions and shit. So that's that. So there's supposed to be two sides of the same coin. I can't believe I'm fucking explaining this story better than they did, but
That should tell you something is off.
well, I mean, I've always said the story of Seven's the main character of Seven, Cloud Strife, is one of the weakest protagonists I've ever seen in a Final Fantasy game. He's up there with uh, well, I mean, he's basically up there with Lightning. they're both kind of shitty characters in my opinion. And I know some people are gonna get mad when they hear that, but I like Lightning. I like what's her name?
I'm sorry. I can hear you over all that suckage that you're spilling out.
Look, I understand that people like these characters, but I'm saying that in the grand scheme of things, they aren't good. Um, like Cloud Strife is not a good character. He's not well fleshed out. His motivations are vague at best. You don't find out what his motivation is until you're like,
Near the end of this too.
well, I would say about halfway through the game.
I said near the end of this too, which is pretty far.
So you're like halfway through the game, you find out why he's motivated
Okay.
to do what he is, and it's not even his motivation. It's he's literally Zach Fair was mortally wounded by Sephiroth when Sephiroth lost his mind and found out I'm a clone from Genova, and they made these clones. How dare they make these fucking clones? So now I got to kill all these people. That's the whole point of the game. I mean, it's really one of the stupidest plots.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's just, and and people are really excited about it. It's like endless possibilities, and I've heard it explained like, oh, it's two separate timelines. Is something. It's like this is the problem with time travel. If you don't establish rules, if you don't, or dimensional, whether it's a time travel or dimensional paradoxes or whatever you want to call it.
Well, I mean, all that shit would
If
be
you don't
cool.
if you don't establish rules and stick to those rules, it makes no sense.
Well, I mean, all that shit would be cool, except there's one major problem. These story things that they're fucking up are major important things to the overall story of the original game. Like I said, if Zack Fair doesn't die, then that means that Cloud Strife doesn't get the memories from Zack Fair. So Cloud Strife basically doesn't come about as a character. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you've basically it's the equivalent of a Legend of Zelda game where Link never gets the Master Sword, and Hyrule is never overthrown. It's like, well, you don't have a game. What's the point?
Yeah, just I heard somebody explaining it using an example from Back to the Future, but I mean the way you're explaining it, it just like I guess Cloud exists like Zack dies in one timeline but exists in another timeline or something.
That makes no fucking sense.
That doesn't make any sense. So
Oh well.
whatever. And like I was saying before the cast, if let's say if not Bethesda because they get a pass, EA, the most hated company on the planet, if they decided to remake Dragon Age, the ground up. Well, actually, what's something older? What's an older RPG that they
People
published?
love. I got a good idea. If let's see, what's an RPG where the story is integral to the overall integrity of the series? Lufia. The story of Lufia is very much like if you change the plot line, it messes up the entire thing. Um, but you haven't played Lufia, so I need something that has a better base point. Shit. I guess I'll do Chrono Trigger. I'll
Yeah.
do Chrono Trigger. Okay, they make a new Chrono Trigger game where some superhero popped up and stopped the meteor that was Lavos from landing on Guardia in prehistoric time, thereby basically like it's intimated if you beat the true ending of Chrono Trigger that Lavos from the point that it landed on the planet had been basically guiding the evolution of every single creature that was on the planet for thousands of years, millennia. like as soon as it
Yeah.
landed on Guardia, which means all the characters except for Isla had basically the reason they are the way they are, their evolutionary abilities, their skills. None of it exists because Labos wasn't there to encourage those things. That would mess up the entire fucking story of those
Yeah.
characters. It would create a time paradox.
The bits of all, and that's before and that's when you experience the docs when trying to go back in time to save somebody from being killed.
Unless you, unless
Captured
you,
by
unless you're talking about something where you create a cleft in time, where it's a completely different timeline, and then that kind of makes sense. But this is not a Final Fantasy VII remake. This is a brand new fucking game that you've still broken into chunks and selling people $60 a
Oh,
pop.
what if EA remade Dragon Age from the ground up
Dragon Age
and
Origin.
said, yeah, the first Dragon Age,
Yeah.
right, Dragon Age Origin, and they said, we'll give you the like a quarter of the map, but we're gonna load it with a bunch of stuff. People lose their minds. It's like we'll give you this part, and then we'll give you the next part. A few months or next year. People would lose their minds if they did something like that.
I mean,
If Final Fantasy VII does it, and they get away with it. Okay.
I don't think they'd lose their minds because people just wouldn't give a fuck. Because I mean, like at this point, no one gives a shit about Dragon Age these days. To be fair,
Yeah, I guess you're right.
because
KOTOR. We haven't seen a new
yeah,
KOTOR.
yeah,
game.
Kotor. They make a Kotor where Darth Revan, who I mean, okay, I know some people might say, "Hey, spoiler alert! If you haven't figured this out by now, your main character in KOTOR is Darth Revan." Okay, he was betrayed by Malik, and basically he gets his memory wiped, and the Jedi are like, "Well, shit, he still has a lot of Jedi ability, so we'll retrain him as a Jedi." That's basically the plot of of that game. Another reason why I claim that the first KOTOR doesn't have the greatest story. But I mean, you get what I'm saying. It's like, okay, so Revan never falls. Okay, well, shit. What's the point if the main character never becomes a Sith Lord? That kind of defeats the whole point of him having his redemption arc. If you like to play as a Jedi, which I do, unfortunately. But yeah, it's pretty bad. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, here's the thing. I don't. There is no incentive for anyone to care about this particular genre.
Yeah.
Like, no one cares.
I mean, it's whatever. They're gonna, if you find it's worth your money, then it's worth your money. It's just,
Yeah. I mean,
people have been
as long as you
complaining
enjoy
about.
it, as long as the people who buy it enjoy it, knock yourself out. I got the game as a gift from a guy who reviews stuff like that. So, um, like because so he got two review copies, okay, for some odd reason. So like I got one, and he gifted me one, so I was like, oh sure, yeah, I'll play it. And I am not impressed. What I played of it, I was not impressed by. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm normally not impressed by stuff, but this was like I was like I don't care about this. I am. What is this shit? It's how I felt while I was playing it. So I know some people are gonna get mad at me. They're gonna be like, "How dare you?" But eh, I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not impressed with this game. I'm not impressed with this title. I don't think it's a good game. Um, Matter of fact, not only am I not impressed with the game, but I think it's a little on the crappy side. But hey, I'm not the end all be all of gaming or RPGs. I mean, I've played a lot of RPGs in my time, but I'm not the master of all RPGs. So, yeah. So, that's my opinion. Any other topics anyone else wants to bring up before we wrap things up?
I think we're good and covered.
All right. Anything you guys
Yeah.
want to pimp out before we get to the end of the podcast?
Um, I I do remember that that there's one announcement. Though of anything, I'm not sure if it's for it or not, since it's an announcement for an event that's supposed to happen next month.
Well, what's supposed to happen next month?
If anybody's playing Splatoon 2,
Oh, you
then
mean ketchup versus mayonnaise?
the rematch.
Uh,
And this is an match because I'm going to put down how it's breaking out. One side has won Europe, the other side's won Japan, and no say or New Zealand or Australia. So tiebreaker.
I don't really. I know it's.
And trust me, I know you're not into it, but I'm if anybody's curious.
And, eh.
Way to way to be the life of the party, buddy.
No, I just. I mean,
I know you're not interested.
how can I put this? I just don't. I just don't really give a shit about Splatoon 2. I I'm not in love with the game. I Matter of fact, I don't even think it's all that good. Uh, I think that it doesn't add anything new to the series. Um,
I get you. I'm just saying that if anything, for those people that are into the game,
yeah, I mean, if you're really into it, there you go.
eh,
So you get to have that eternal fight, ketchup or mayonnaise, because people really want to know.
yeah, I, I'm just, I'm just, I'm just happy that fun to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, listen. If all you have is a Nintendo console, this is great for you. Since I have like PS4, PC, Switch,
You
I'm good.
keep bragging, buddy. Keep bragging.
It's
I
not
can hear
bragging.
it all the way.
I just have multiple consoles. So,
I know.
um,
I'm just saying that that's a change up. that brings life into one of the games I have.
Yeah, that's all you got. That's all you got. People got to do what they got to do.
Yeah,
Me,
you keep on bragging, buddy.
I can't. I just
I
I couldn't
I
get into
understand that
it.
you have more than one console. You can be happy with just saying that there's something going on for a game that
I mean, if you love if you love look if you love playing it, good for you. Like I said, it really didn't click for me. I was like, I'm not feeling it. But
hmm.
look, that's what you like. That's what you like. Can't stop someone from liking something because they like it. So that's what they like. Um, so that's the end of our podcast. If you would like to rate, comment, share, let me put up the contact information. Yes. To get in touch with the cast via Gmail, you can reach me at Mr. Red Fox BSbuster at gmail.com or at Twitter at Matthew Wesley at Mr. Red Fox 91. You can reach me via the Discord server um, or through the comment section. All that fun jazz. With that being said, that's the end of this video. Rate, comment, share, subscribe, and
Don't forget to wash your beeping.
And
yeah,
also
definitely.
DVD, and also DVD cases are cheap as hell.
Yeah,
Cheap as hell now.
yeah, they are. Cheap as in cheap to get, or just cheap as in they break easy.
Just cheap as they feel cheap. They feel like shit.
Eh,
I don't remember them feeling this cheap.
well, that's what happens to technology like that. As time goes on, they start making the stuff cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So, but that's neither here nor there. That's in this podcast. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe. Peace. Good night, and